What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Star Wars Explained. Molly and I wanted to do something a little different today. We've been talking about doing those tier lists that are very popular online. People have been requesting it a lot, but we don't want to just rank normal, boring stuff like ranking the movies or the series or whatever. Like everyone does that. And I was like, if we're gonna rank something, I want to rank something dumb. I want to rank something just more obscure that is totally subjective, and today we're going to do our first one. We're going to rank the bands of Star Wars. What do you think of that, Molly?
I like it. I also wanted to do this, but I wanted to do something in universe, something that like people in universe in Star Wars could also rank if they chose to.
I totally agree, but we thought that we could use some help for this one. So we pulled in the team behind Mosh Eisley, one of our favorite things to do at any convention, and they're coming to Dragon Con soon. So please welcome Nick, Adam, and Sarah to this debate.
Hello there.
Thanks for having us.
And you all just had a Mosh out at San Diego Comic-Con. How did that go?
Yeah, that was what, like a week and a half ago at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
It was our best event so far.
Yeah, it wasn't our biggest yet. Orlando earlier this year was our biggest one. I think we did 900 people there. And then this was the second time we've done San Diego Comic-Con, and it was even better this year. It was excellent. And, our hopes are just to make it something that people know that they could like count on doing every year. So going back to San Diego because it was so great last year felt good this year.
Less lightsabers, more bubbles this time.
I think we've been to 3 Mosh Eisley events, but for someone who's watching this who's never been, how would you describe the event?
In short, it's a Star Wars themed emo night. If you've ever been to emo night, similar vibe, but imagine just taking all the fun and community, vibes that you get from a con and smash that into an emo night with sort of like a more chill cantina hour kind of thing at the beginning if you choose to, pay for that extra experience, where you can just kind of hang, take pictures, and listen to the kind of music that we're going to talk about on this podcast or on this episode, and then get into full blown like just emo mayhem with I say it's just like emo night, but we get into some theatrics. We've got video bits and things that we do to make it more interactive or more like theatrical even sometimes. Immersive, yeah.
Your Comic-Con theme was right up my alley. All the pilot stuff, those helmets looked great. All the graphics you
very
did.
jealous.
Yeah, that yellow and black helmet, that looked sick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're still learning as far as like, we want to make sure we're not putting on the same show every time. So this was the first one where we outwardly said the theme was X-Wing pilot. So the most like magical thing for us about Mosh Eisley is that we threw the first one in Anaheim, which you guys were at. And that one was literally, we threw it together. We're like, we're going to just play some songs. We're going to dress up a little. It'll be cool. And the beautiful thing that happened is most of the people who attended, without us telling them or prompting them or anything, made their own like emo and punk rock Star Wars outfits. And I think we were all blown away by that. And basically when we kind of all met up again afterwards, we were like, that was amazing, but it was also different in the sense that, the community showed up. It wasn't just like, we're here to party. It was more like people are getting ready to come to our party with like making their own vests or helmets, all inspired by different emo bands or punk bands or whatever. So we were floored. It's almost like that first event made us realize we had to take it more seriously and become more professional party planners.
And for anyone who is thinking, emo or punk isn't totally my thing, yes, that's the core to it, but there, we don't keep it that strict. It's really more about the era and even, going back a little bit further. And when it comes to costumes and mashups, we see all kinds of, the same kind of fun stuff that you see at any kind of con. The weird, like sometimes like really deep cut, like hat on a hat version of like 3 different things mashed into one that are just from the era. Like, like my wife last time was Regina George Lucas, like this time she did like a Britney Spears thing. None of that's emo, but it's, it's of the era and it's awesome and it's fun. And we see lots of people doing fun stuff. So don't feel like you have to be a true emo kid to show up and have fun.
I was just gonna say that, like, when you go to a con, yes, you can, like, meet your people there, but going to something like Mosh Eisley, even though you may not be super into Star Wars or super into emo and punk music, this is a place where you can get together with a like-minded group of people and just get dressed up and just party and hang out in, like, one specific place versus an entire exhibit floor at a convention for an entire weekend. This is, like, you need cool people to hang out with. This is where you need to find your people, and everyone there is incredibly welcoming of everyone. Like you're like, "Oh, I saw you at the last one." And now you're part of the family. It's wonderful, and it's this crazy thing that I don't think we realized we were creating when we threw that first one. We're like, "Yeah, let's just have a party. Let's hang out with our friends." And now it's become this thing bigger than us, and it's so fun and such an honor to throw.
That's a good point. The fact that especially if you're going to your very first convention and it's something like Comic-Con or Dragon Con where it's just a sea of people and so many panels and things to do, having something like this at like a set location uh, is really nice. And yeah, we've met so many people at all the different moshes that we've been to, and everyone is super nice, and the costumes are great, and it's always a really fun time.
I feel like it is a perfect fit for Dragon Con. That's our main con. We go every year, and it is a giant party con, but it also is very much about finding that like the niche fandoms, and it's such a fun marriage of nerd stuff, and also I'm into this music, and it's a party. It's going to kick off on that Thursday night of Dragon Con, which I think is perfect. I've been saying it for the past few weeks, but I'm like I cannot think of a better way to start that weekend. So I am so excited. Uh, so yeah, what are the dates and the event information for?
Yeah, it's August 29th, so it's that Thursday, the first day of Dragon Con. It's at the Legendary Masquerade, which is, I think, exactly 1 mile away from Dragon Con. So I know Dragon Con is pretty centralized, and a mile is as close as we could get, like the venue wise. But that's Masquerade is a venue. My band plays, Adam's band plays, which I think we always, when we're booking Mosh Eisley, we wanted to have that. We want it to live in that world of like what we do for a living. So being able to actually do it at a venue that we play is pretty special. So tickets are still on sale. MoshEisley.com. What else do we need to know? Anything else? It's sort of Mandalorian themed, this one.
Yes.
We're kind of getting the
for sure. Unite the clans.
getting the Mando clans going. We're just starting to make some flags, just as like kind of set decoration type things. So, but that's just the theme. You can wear whatever you want. Show up as Captain America. I don't care.
All right, well, let's get into actually ranking the bands of Star Wars, the musical acts. And you can rank these however you want. It's completely subjective. We're going to start with the more well-known ones and move down through the more obscure. But I think we have to start with A New Hope and the Cantina Band, Figrin, Dan, and the Modal Nodes. So, Molly, what's your gut feeling about this band?
Gut feeling. I mean, this might be one of the most well-known bands in Star Wars. But I'm trying to think where else have we seen them perform? Because the cantina on Tatooine, like we know it's a hive of scum and villainy, but is it that well known of a venue for them to be performing?
They don't have a whole lot of lore in canon. In Legends, they kind of had some ups and downs. I know they like caused a massacre at a wedding, and so they don't do weddings anymore. Um, so they might just be trying to lay low a little bit at Chalmun's Cantina.
So the wedding was the issue at that massacre because they stopped doing weddings. It wasn't them.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Like, if we just don't do weddings anymore, there won't be any massacres.
Generally a good idea to distance yourself from any known massacres.
Sarah, what are your thoughts on this band, on the Cantina Band?
I love a matching outfit. I had been advocating for matching outfits for a while in Mosh Eisley, and finally these dreams are coming true.
Yes.
So I do appreciate them for that. And I mean, they made the most iconic song, aside from the theme, in universe for Star Wars. So they're kind of like to me, almost like a classic boy band.
I was gonna say boy band too, yeah.
I was going to say Beatles, just because this is like
That was a boy band.
1977. I know, but To me, the matching, I could see in my head George Lucas just being like, just dress them the same, like they're the Beatles.
I don't think they're as prolific as the Beatles,
No.
right?
As far as we know, they might just be a one-hit wonder. We
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that they had other songs. They play another one in the Cantina, but no one really goes to that one. Everybody knows the Cantina band, Mad About Me.
Maybe they're a little more like Devo as far
Yeah.
as
Yep.
dressing alike and having a
Mhm.
one-hit wonder.
The influence does. I mean, I assume at least a few of you know the actual influence and what, like, the little bit of the backstory. Nick, I know you listened to the soundtrack show, so you know the story.
Do I know? I don't remember it, but yeah.
So George was playing this Benny Goodman record that he had found, not long before shooting on set, apparently. And people have done a bunch of digging to figure out which song it may have been that he was playing. But basically he told John Williams that imagine this band, this was when Lucas was just still all over the place with, when this was actually taking place, what universe this was in, whatever. And he said, imagine, thousands of years in the future, these aliens find an old Benny Goodman album and they try to, write their own version of this thing that they found. And that's what this band sounds like. So it's got this old big band kind of jazz vibe because of that. And he was playing, apparently, this song, I think Sing 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 is the one that the people have kind of agreed is probably the song, because it's, so much of the music in A New Hope is just straight from George's reference music that he put in the edit originally. Like, so, the all the classical stuff and stuff from the planets and all this kind of thing. It's like so close that it's got to be this song. And because of that, it's now in the Cantina playlist for Mosh Eisley. I updated it the other day. So we'll have Benny Goodman there.
That's a good one too, because they all have similar instruments, but I'm looking at some pictures just of Benny Goodman performing, and it does kind of remind me of the instruments that they use in the Cantina.
Are you going to say the name of the genre, or are you going to get demonetized for that?
I think we can say jizz. Also, we could be safe and go with jats, as they have tried to kind of walk it back a little bit.
People don't forget.
But we all know what's
Yeah.
real. That's what it's called. We have to say it. I'm sorry. I was going to look up their instruments. I know there's a couple clue horns in there, fanfare, the omni box, just drums, a bandfill, a double jossamer, and a Dorinian beshnaquel, of course. Every band's got to have. Who plays the beshnaquel on Story of the Year and Bayside?
I dabble a little bit, but
So all of that said, I think it's time to start getting heated and debate a little bit. Let's talk about where we would rank this band. So Nick, I think you had something you wanted to start with.
I think earlier it was said that they have kind of the most in-universe popular song. So how is that not S tier? If they have the Star Wars song, if you're just walking down the street anywhere in the world and you sing that song, people know it's a Star Wars song. So
I've told this story before, but I think it's appropriate that Molly and I accidentally entered our wedding reception to that song. we gave the DJ like that disco, the Miko version of the Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
I don't know how he wound up instead playing the Cantina band, but we were like at the back of the room, like, this is not right, but it is appropriate. So
yeah. That's
Perfect.
amazing.
Why not?
Adam, how do you feel?
copy paste, retweet everything Nick said. S tier.
Okay, we've got 2 for S. Sarah, how are you feeling?
I mean, I agree. I feel like they only have one song that we all know, so it feels a little difficult to put them in S tier. But if that's what the group is going for, I would go with it. Otherwise, I would maybe move them down to like an A tier.
You can go A. I'll
I think
join
we'll go
you.
A then.
I'm gonna say A as well. I think that their one-hit wonder status is gonna hold me back just a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking A tier just because there's one other band in Star Wars that I think might push them out of the S tier category for me personally. And that's pretty much the only reason I'm bumping this one down.
Okay, so we got 3 A's and 2 S's. So I'm gonna put them as an A, but a little star. They're an A plus.
A plus.
Yeah.
Also love that song is called Mad About Me. Like that's also just that's not in universe. Like that's the funniest. I cannot believe if you're listening to that song and you just ask people what it would be called. Like they wouldn't say anything near that, like anything close to that.
Alex actually won one of the Dragon Con trivia contests because he knew the name of that song.
It's good. It's a good trivia question.
And I had to stay subjective. The in universe, I'm going to go A, but I do have that. There are a lot of personal connections to that song for me, and that is one of them.
Do you know any of their other song names? There's another one, right?
They have quite a few in Legends. Tears of Ackmena, Worm Case, The Sequential Passage of Chronological Intervals, and Solitary World. But I don't think we've ever heard any of those. I think Dune Sea Special is the one that we've actually heard in the movie. So, oh, you know what? I think Ogus Cantina has the modal notes. So they do. You know what?
Yep.
I'm walking it back. I might have to knock them up to S tier. They do have 3 songs that are well known in the galaxy. Fine, I'll give them an S. And I was about to move on, but we knocked him up at the last second. So let's talk about probably the second best known Star Wars band, the Max Rebo Band from Return of the Jedi.
Lapty neck slaps.
Yeah.
It really does.
I think the most important thing to point out about Max Rebo is that they are not a one-hit wonder right off the bat, even though we've established that the modal nodes also are not. But Max Rebo has 2 different versions of their song, depending on which version of the movie you're watching. You got Lapty Neck or Jedi Rocks. So we can discuss those 2 songs and their merits first.
There's 2 or 3 others, right? Like at the kind of background, just chill music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have those names? Do you know those?
I don't off the top of my head. I can hum them, and they've been. I always think about Robot Chicken uses the one where Gary the Stormtrooper is going to the bathroom, and he's just like do 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 do
Yeah.
do. It's so good.
Great song.
Oh, the best part. Lapty Neck, if I'm not mistaken, was written by John Williams' son, who is the singer of Toto.
That was I learned that on the soundtrack show as well, but I did not know that.
S tier worthy just on its
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
I found that out, and then found out that he also wrote the theme to Gummy Bears, which just blew my mind.
I don't know. I can't think of another musician on Earth who could possibly have more daddy issues than that dude. Like, how do you live in the shadow of John Williams? Like, the greatest musician on Earth.
One of their songs, I don't know if it's this one, but it's called That Joyous Night I Ate My Mate.
Oh my god.
Which has Galactic Dance Blast, Kick the Ranat, My Heart Belongs to You, Ode to a Master Chef, Ode to a Radioactive Ruin. Those are all the song titles that I can find.
All of those sound like bangers.
Yeah.
Like those are absolute smash hits.
I don't want to start the episode off with just two S tiers, but it's pretty clear this is S tier.
Yeah.
Max Rebo Band.
Yeah.
I was holding off the S for Figrin Dan because I knew I was going to give Max Rebo S tier. I mean, I have a Max Rebo collection. I wrote down some possible negatives for him. I'll see if this changes anyone's minds, but everywhere he works, it explodes. So
that's just rock and roll.
The songs are literal bangers.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. He just happens to be there.
Like that Marriage Massacre.
The Max Rebo Band in Book of Boba Fett in Garsa Fwip's Cantina. Is that still the Max Rebo Band because Max Rebo is in it?
It's like Panic at the Disco, right? Where it's the same front man. Just a rotating cast around him.
He doesn't work well with others.
I don't remember how many of the original Max Rebo Band members were there in Book of Boba Fett.
I think it was just him. We do know that Sice Noodles and Droopy McCool survived the explosion. I think Joe Yowza also got out, but literally was flicking off Max Rebo as he escaped. So they probably broke up. That might be Max Rebo as a solo artist and that little drummer droid, which I love.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna call this Max Rebo. He is the Max Rebo Band wherever he goes.
Yeah.
I'm literally wearing my Jabba Creatures shirt that has all of the Max Rebo Band on it. So yeah, S tier for me.
Sorry, I was going to say one of my all-time Glepshido characters is Ristal Sant, who is one of the backup dancers, backup singers for the Max Rebo Band. So that puts it up pretty high on my list.
I also want to say, I know there is, especially for older fans, a lot of hate for the special edition Jedi Rocks version. not version, like the whole new song. But this many years later, like, you know, it rubbed me weird for a long time because it was new, but it slaps, man. It's good.
It's not the music. It's the like looking down Joe Yowza's
Oh, yeah.
throat. You don't
Yeah.
really need that. It's more the execution, but the song itself, like that opening
Yeah.
trumpet riff, or I'm not sure, the clue horn riff. I don't know what to call it. I love that part.
Plus, Cy Snoodles just has such a unique singing voice. She really nails it.
It's an earworm. Like you can get that stuck in your head for days.
It's kind of almost, I know this is pre-Disney, but it almost makes more sense now than it did back then. You know, with like the influence of Disney, like it sounds like a Disney, like almost in, like if you're in a Disneyland, like if you're in a theme park, you would hear that somewhere. Totally.
I will, just so I'm not throwing all of the credit onto Max Rebo, I will mention, we said Cy Snoodles, Droopy McCool, Joe Yowza. They've also got Akrev and Umpus Stay on the drums, Rapper Tooney, Barkwin Dan, a relative of Figrin Dan, Doda Bodanawido, and of course Ristal Sant Griata and Lin Mi. So they've got a huge lineup. They're a very diverse band, kind of the opposite of the Modal Nodes, where everyone has their own identity and personality. So I do appreciate that.
And choreography.
Another fun Alex fact. Alex lost Dragon Con Star Wars trivia because of a Lin Mi question.
You're right. F tier.
Blew it.
No, I can't. Even that. Okay, we're going to move on to episode 7 and the band that appears there, Shag Kava. They're on Takodana and Maz Kanata's castle. We've got another potential one-hit wonder situation here. Their main song is Jabba Flow. I do believe they had another one, kind of the same way the Modal Nodes had 2 songs in the movie. I think they have a second.
Am I mistaken, or did J.J. Abrams write that song?
I believe Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote it.
Did he? I thought J.J. wrote something.
Maybe they did it together.
Abrams was approached by Miranda. They collaborated to write it. It says, while writing the song, Miranda referred to a glossary of Huttese terms. He compared the translation to It Wasn't Me, a song by reggae fusion artist Shaggy.
I could tell in the vocals it's supposed to be Shaggy. It has that low froggy thing going.
Ujaba, Ujaba. I love it. It was great to edit in the Cantina mix that I did the other day. Got a nice edit point on that. Ujaba, you know.
I could do like a 10-hour loop lo-fi of this song.
That's what I was thinking. It's good background music.
More for studying or doing other tasks.
If I was going to a cantina to hang out, I'd rather hear this than Mad About You. Mad About Me.
Interesting.
Not quite so like circus music-y sounding.
Yeah. Less jizz.
That's jizz for you. I'll read off the other members of the band, or all of them. It's Infra Blue, Zed Betty Coggins, Sudswater, Dilafay Glon, Uber, Styx Coral, and Tabin Rolorsa, which I do love their names.
Okay, stocks are up for this band. That's amazing.
This is like when Star Wars, in the original trilogy, they had silly names, but I feel like in this era, they were starting to have a little more intentional fun with it, throwing out like Therm Scissor Punch and stuff like that. So yeah, this is Infra Blue Zed Betty Coggins is, I love that name.
Yes.
So I think I will personally bump them up a little bit just for band member names alone. I'll start with the ranking that I think I'm going to give them a B. I'm not super into the song. It's not as catchy. It's not one of the first ones I think of when I think of Star Wars music. So I'm going to knock them down a little bit.
Yeah, I think it would be rude to put them below a B.
I'm glad I didn't do that.
I was going to put them at a C until you read off the names of the band members. Then it was like instant promotion. You're a B.
I like a solid B for this, yeah.
I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with a B. I think that, like I said, I could hear, I guess in my old age, when I go to a bar, I don't want to hear loud music anymore, which is weird because, we're talking about a party that we host that has loud music in it. But if I'm going to go somewhere and hang out, I'm getting to the point where I don't want to yell. So I think a nice, I don't want to yell while I'm just trying to have a conversation. I think
Solo. That's all you want to know.
Yeah. So I think this song, I appreciate the chillness. So I could go B. B is good. Give it a little space between the this tier and the S tier.
I do think it's worth pointing out that they are polite. If Maz screams,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, let's
This-
give her a second
Yeah.
to say what she needs to say." So next up we have Luleo Primoc and Aurodia Ventafoli from Solo. They are the musical act. I really do like that movie kind of went in the opposite direction. Like, let's show us some music that we've never heard in Star Wars before.
Yeah, it sounded kind of R&B.
But it's like it's next level R&B. Like this is
Yeah.
like crazy experimental jazz fusion R&B. To me, this is the most truly otherworldly sounding music in all of Star Wars. The harmonies between, I mean, just like the scales that they're playing in and the notes that they choose to harmonize over the music, like with the vocals, it's just like it's so legit. It's so next level shit.
This is exactly why I wanted to have you three on.
I mean, I dare I say some of the notes they're singing sound wrong, which I know that they're not. They're just so off, like left of center.
You know what they say? If you play a wrong note once, it's a mistake. You play it twice, it's jazz fusion.
Yeah.
So,
And this is just to piggyback off my last comment about wanting a chill band. This is too chill. This is way too far, way too chill for me.
Right? Like it's way more glam than any of the bands we've heard so far because you've got the Dryden Voss scene and it's lots of gold. She's literally like draped in like these gold sequins with this headdress, and then he's there in his tube. No costume, by the way.
Just naked.
Just completely naked, and that's a vibe too. Maybe she took all the costuming budget. Who knows what happened? But it's very like higher end from what we've heard before, and I think that led into where I think we're going to go to with like the lot more clean and polished Crimson Dawn era music, where it's not just playing in cantinas.
I think that's a good segue into some. We do know a little bit of lore about them, and Aurodia was in high demand at this point. So you're absolutely right. She would be a star. She had a residency on the First Light. Meanwhile, Luleo, he has an interesting story. He was originally a hollow star, basically a movie star, and he used to wear some sort of like humanoid exosuit. So I guess he could run around and move.
Krang style.
I was picturing Krang from Ninja Turtles. But he was supposedly past his prime at this point. So maybe he was teaming up with Aurodia to kind of boost his relevancy. And I'm not saying that this reminds me a little bit of Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett. Not that Tony Bennett was past his prime, but like an older lounge singer teaming up with a high profile pop star.
Or like what just popped into my head, which is not so much the case now as it used to 100% be, but like Vegas, you know, like acts would go there to do a residency towards the end of their career. It's a little different now. Vegas is a little bit of a hot spot. So you have both where there's like current artists playing along, you know, the next casino over would be Tony Bennett or something. But then you have someone a little bit more contemporary. Like I know it's a little bit more DJ centric. Shout out DJ Rex. But yeah, this is giving me a little bit of Vegas vibes.
Their song titles are interesting. I did write all of these down. The one that we hear is called Chicken in the Pot. The next one is Your Love is Gravy, which I'm wondering if Luleo is just hungry all the time while he's writing. Yeah. They have two others. One is Carve Your Name in My Heart, and the other is Joe Blasto.
This is the only one I read about in preparation because I love it so much. Did you, Alex, also read what the lyrics are actually about?
No, please share.
It's like a conversation between the two about what they're going to eat.
So they are hungry.
Yes.
They're like, no one's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like they wrote it in some other language and they translated it to Huttese for the actual writing, the behind the scenes thing. But it's about like mashed potatoes and gravy and shit. It's literally just about what they're gonna have for dinner essentially, and they're kind of like arguing about it. So I guess it's got like this like theatrical kind of, like a couple arguing about something, something inconsequential kind of thing to it.
Where do you want to go? I could go anywhere. How about Italian? I don't want Italian. Why'd you say you'd go anywhere? I do want to bring up there's a bit on Aurodia. The thing on her face is a vocoder to boost her voice to non-human frequencies. So
Sick.
is that cheating at all, or is it just using the tools at your disposal? How do you feel about that?
Auto-tune? Star Wars auto-tune?
Or maybe she's just using something to channel her voice to aliens who maybe couldn't hear a human voice.
Yep.
I like that. Yeah.
I thought she was a mod. I thought that was like permanently attached to her.
It could be.
That'd be
Even then,
interesting.
is that cheat? Is it like plastic surgery for your vocals?
I mean, the galaxy seems like they don't mind if she's a
Yeah.
big
Right?
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been of the mind that, you use the technology, whatever the highest technology is at the moment. You can make this argument about whatever's going on now, but you go all the way back, and there were always conversations about whoever was the most current artist cheating in some way. Like the Beatles recording these multi-track albums with all of this overdubbing, because they weren't playing everything at the same time in the room when they got to like kind of the Sgt. Pepper era, and they had all these different instruments. People were losing their minds about how fake it was, quote fake,
Huh.
So it's always been like that.
So this is just the next in the line. So she's good.
She's ahead of her time.
I'm a fan.
I like the vibe that it's a permanent mod. I like that. I feel like that's a good in-universe, even if it is, like a vocoder type thing. I like that.
I was gonna start with them at a B, and now hearing about what their song is actually about, and I kind of love the idea that it might be improv, and they're just looking out at all the food that Dryden has, and they're arguing about what to eat. I'm gonna give them an A. I like them. I like how unique they are.
I would give them an S, but I know I'm the outlier here.
I was gonna give them another B. Solid B for me.
I was gonna start at a C with them.
All over the place. I like
But
this.
I think the fact that it's called Chicken in a Pot and they're arguing about what to eat, I would go up to a B.
Also, I think maybe the reasoning behind how low-key and chill this particular song is, we all know what Dryden is like if he gets too rambunctious, so they got to keep it way, way down.
True. I don't know, because I think I'm taking that information that it's all about food, and that made it like less to me. It was like funny, and I think in a way I don't personally listen to music that's funny or ironic or anything. So I was just like, oh, okay, that took it down for me. So I was actually leaning more C, the first C of the episode so far.
We're all over the place for this. I like it though. ASBBC. I think that puts them into a B territory again. So our next one is from Star Wars Visions. It's the band Starwaver, and they might be the most likely one to show up at a Mosh Eisley or to be played at a Mosh Eisley, I feel. Yeah, Molly, go ahead. You wanted to say something about it.
I just forgot how much that song slaps. Like, it is legitimately something that I would have on my like workout playlist or something. I love it.
It's interesting that it's in universe. It is Star Wars Visions, but it has like Jabba and Boba Fett. It's one of the few Visions shorts that still I think is within the reality of the main canon. I don't think they've been mentioned yet, but I'm just waiting for someone to do that in some book or comic.
It's interesting. I know when we covered this on Thank the Maker, I think I might have been the only one who liked that episode, and the music was actually a deterrent for right, Adam? You didn't really love it?
Yeah, it made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah. So my point is, out of context, just listening to that, in my head, I was like, I remember this being a lot better. Because I think I like the episode as a whole of like the journey of the band, Yeah, I mean, that is just a punk song that I would grow up listening to, but I think out of context, it kind of took me by surprise a little bit.
Not to throw any shade, but I do think that character was voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I feel like they could have gotten a punk rock singer.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to know what species that drummer is. It's like 3 guys in one.
They needed that for that drum. It was like a 360 thing. But a very diverse band. Like we talked about Max Rebo being a diverse band. Like this is, I think, the only one on the list that has a Jedi.
I think you're right. Lan, we do not have a species for land, just a 3-headed, multi-torsoed drummer for Star Waver. And yeah, we have the former Jedi Jay, the Hutt guitarist named Guy, and another droid guitarist named Curdy.
The Hutt named Guy, I love his hair. He's got super emo hair.
Yeah.
And all of his piercings. He's adorable.
So some more kind of behind the scenes stuff or in-universe stuff about them. They are wanted by bounty hunters, which on the one hand is pretty punk rock, but in the short, they complain about how they're never able to finish a set before a bounty hunter shows up. So if you were to go to one of their shows, you might be annoyed that you never got to see the full show.
Make sure you show up early.
I do like their ship a lot. It's like a ship / stage that can just go anywhere, which I think that's just awesome.
I mean, if we could have that for Mosh Eisley,
I know.
we just like transport to the venue. We're ready to go. We don't have to do all the setup that we do. I dig it. I'm into it. It's like Star Wars. It's not fully emo. It's more rock than emo or punk, but I'm into it.
I think it's also worth pointing out that their song Galactic Dreamer is what we heard. It's so good that it saves them from public execution.
Yeah.
So in universe, that whole arena loved it.
There's something very Bill and Ted about that.
I was just say like early to like 90s, early 2000s, like movie plot about that.
It's very Tenacious D against the devil.
Right.
Adam, I want to dig into why it made you feel uncomfortable.
I'm 99% of the time I get really bad secondhand embarrassment when I see any, a band or any kind of musical artist or even like acting or a movie set or anything depicted on screen, because it's rarely accurate. It's always like just campy enough that I'm like, ugh, this is weird. This is that. It's like obviously it's not real and accurate, but there's something else about I don't know if it comes from being like a nerdy kid who played music that wasn't cool and whatever, but when I see something depicted on screen, it's just always a little cringe to me. And especially when it's like, oh, we just got to get a record deal and everything can be okay. Those kind of stories in cartoons or TV shows or whatever, or like the damn Beach Boys on Full House. I'm just like, oh God, oh Uncle Jesse, you're embarrassing yourself. So I have that like inherent bias. So it made me a little uncomfortable. Also, this is my OCD, but the song not rhyming at all, I can't unhear it.
Does it rhyme in Japanese though?
That's the thing. It seems obviously translated.
I do remember listening to the Japanese version and liking it more when I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, there is like a sense of like very like amateur or local band to it, which I think might be I don't know if that's the point.
So how does it fall for you?
I would say a C, because it's still, it's still catchy. It's still stuck in my head right now.
I was going to put it as a C, but I thought Adam was going to go super low with it given what he just said. It's good. It's not one that I think about often. Like it doesn't get stuck in my head, or it pops in and I'm like, oh yeah, the Star Waver song. So I'd say it's a solid C. There's nothing, it's great, but it's not awful. It's right there in the middle.
Yeah, I think in the context of the episode, I liked it more, and then just hearing it solo is like, maybe I was given too much credit, but I'll go C. I think C is good.
I'll agree with C. Like I like the vibe. It's giving like high school Battle of the Bands a little bit, which is fun for me. But on closer inspection, I agree with C. I think.
I like the characters of the band. I was gonna go C. I thought Adam was gonna go D, but yeah. C's across the board I think works. I like the characters. I liked the story. I remember liking the episode, but I do remember watching it for the first time and being like, I don't know if that song would have saved them in reality.
Yeah.
Our next band is someone that Molly and I have not seen, and we're going to need the expertise of our guests who have been to the Galactic Star Cruiser. They have seen Gaya live.
S.
And there we go. So can you talk about the experience of seeing Gaya and Sandro Alamander and Uwani performing live?
So Galactic Star Cruiser is no longer around, but part of the premise of it and some of the storyline of it was that the Rockstar Queen Gaya is on the ship to do a very special concert. Her whole storyline, actually, there's a reason that she needs to be on the ship, and that plays out through all of the lyrics of her show that she does on that first night. It's a big dinner show that you partake in. But she is way too big to be performing on this like 300 person capacity Star Cruiser that you're on. And so you're like, why is she here? This is really special. It would be like if, I don't know, Beyonce walked into like a Red Robin and played. Like it's kind of like that type of situation. And so when Gaya's there on that first night, you're listening to her lyrics. If you're paying attention, you're listening to her lyrics. You're hearing about her story and what it is that she's doing there, and you're starting to see some things unfold around you that progress her story through that dinner all the way through the next day. So it's really catchy music. There's even one where they get everybody up in the dining room to do a choreographed dance, which is actually a diversion for some things that are going on behind the scenes. There's an acoustic set that takes part the next day. So you actually get much more Gaya. If you did partake in the Galactic Star Cruiser, you get a lot more experience with Gaya than you do with any other musical act in the Star Wars canon. And it's just, it's such good music too. It's really good music. Like they released an album.
Did not realize that. I would have done preparation for this.
Her outfit is really cool too. Like her headpiece is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very extravagant.
Yeah.
It's very extravagant. It even has like there's clues in there to her story as well. And if you look at her main logo, it's Gaya and Arabesh overlaid on each other. So it's Gaya.
Oh, cool.
And that's her autograph too. So you can go to an autograph signing on one of the days and she stamps your poster or whatever it is. And it's that Gaya logo. Sorry, I'm like smiling. I'm like, this is what I'm here for, is Gaya.
You all went to the Star Cruiser multiple times, right?
Yeah, me and Adam were twice. You must have went, what, 5 or 6 times, Sarah? At least?
I went 5 times.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
The other two performers, is it Uwani?
So Wani is her kind of like a keyboardist. I saw the name of the instrument yesterday and I forget what it is, but basically the keyboardist. So she's
Yeah, she's a Rhodian.
She's the Rhodian. That's who I was thinking of. Okay.
They basically designed an instrument that a Rhodian can get away with playing with those fingers. It's a lot of this.
And then Sandra Alamander is also a character in Star Cruiser who doesn't start performing with Gaya until halfway through her set on the dinner show. And then that kind of unfolds as well. And it ends up that Gaya goes off and does her own thing. And then Wani breaks off and she and Sandra go and they have their own musical act later on. So they actually split. But I think for the sake of the argument, it's Gaya performing with Wani and Sandro.
Just the look of her, she reminds me so much of the singer from The Fifth Element.
Yeah, yes. And in real life, speaking of, and talent, the actual cast members that they had on the ship that would sing these songs live are incredible. Well, the cast members nail that vocal tone live. I mean, like, they're all so good. And, you know, you would hear them through the PA and you're thinking like, okay, they probably got a lot of backtracks and stuff. But then she would walk by you. And I remember turning to Nick and Ryan and everybody like, dude, did you just hear that? Like this lady rips. Like, this is legit. We're not hearing backtracks right now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like just on a technical level, amazing. And then the songs are so good and they're in this like now old but maybe new again, kind of like late 90s, early 2000s R&B, like true like diva R&B pop kind of style that I just love. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, there's so many beautiful things about the Star Cruiser, but I think that the fact that everything was so live lent itself to you having your own particular experience, because you could have conversations with the characters on there, and the next day they were to remember your name. However they figured that, like, they might be getting fed their name from some eye in the sky, who knows. But there was like an interactive, I mean, they were all of the, whatever we want to call them, actors, cast members, like they were all so amazing and really like gave it their all and made you feel like you were actually a part of a Star Wars story. And that was like the biggest thing, that Star Cruiser was like so ahead of its time, because I'm not so sure that most people who got to go on the Star Cruiser are ready to interact in that way, in like an entertainment sense, like it's so far ahead of its time that people might not exactly have known what to do on the Star Cruiser. So we did, we all crushed it. We were great.
But I do think also Gaya's probably the one on here that has the most backstory and the most, like, we know the most about her than we do of any of the other people on the list. Because like I said, throughout her set in that dinner show, as you're listening to the lyrics, she's telling you exactly what's happened, how she was wronged, and what she's going to do to make it right. And then sure enough, over the next 24 hours, it happens. With your help, of course, because you're LARPing. But it's, if we're comparing Gaya's lyrics to Chicken in the Pot, there's a lot more like effort and thought and just these beautiful lyrics that they put a lot of thought into. They could have just said, hey, we need a dinner show, slap together something, and they're out there singing about all the food that they see out there. And that wasn't the case with this. This was, let's use music as a way to drive a plot forward.
I mean, aside from Star Waver that we just listened to, it's the only music, it's the only musician or artist or anything in Star Wars that's directly a part of the story.
So Adam, you shouted out S right away. I'm assuming you're going to keep that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm down.
S is across the board for you three?
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to refrain from this vote since I haven't heard it, but now I'll go listen to the album that I wish I knew was available.
It slaps.
Our next band is called the Agasar, that's their in-universe Star Wars name. Really, it is just straight up The Who, the Mongolian band. I'll just do what Adam did and shout out S immediately, because I love the Star Wars Jedi games, and I think they have 3 or 4 songs across the 2 of them. That was their song
so
from
metal.
Fallen Order. I love it.
It sounds so good.
Yeah.
It's definitely what angsty young Huts would listen to, it seems like,
Yeah.
I was going to say vocally, it's a little similar to Shag, like that like throaty kind of deep thing. Yeah, it's cool. I never played the games. And am I mistaken? I don't want to sidetrack this combo right now, but I know Rec Punk was in the High Republic books. This was Rec Punk, the like genre, also in the game at all? This isn't considered Rec Punk, right?
I don't believe it is. I'm not sure if we've heard any Rec Punk. And I do want to point out that the Star Wars Jedi games, there was only that one song in Fallen Order. In Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they got the Who to record like 2 or 3 new songs. And they got a bunch of artists to just record their own Star Wars music. So there are a lot of great songs in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I figured I would just focus on the Agasar because they, I think, have a more famous song from Fallen Order, and they're more prolific in the galaxy. So I wanted to focus just on that. But if you can find the album for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it's great. But yeah, there's so many great genres like Rec Punk, Gonk Rock that I don't know that we've actually heard yet.
We never get to see this band perform in universe, correct? We just hear the music.
Yes, Cal listens to it at the start of the game, and then it comes up again when he has to fight in like a gladiator pit for the Haxian Brood. They just throw that song on, and Cal's like, "Oh, I love this song," and then has to fight his way out.
You know what it sounds like, and tell me if you know this piece of music from of the Mandalorian, the season 3 finale. When he arrives at Adelphi base, there's a song that has this kind of like tribal-ish kind of vibe. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. The one, I think it's episode 5 of season 3, when he has to get Carson Teva to come help out.
Yes.
I don't know who performs that, but it does have a similar sound and feel, which just lately, and the next song we talk about is another example of this, but Star Wars has done a great job of introducing more and more in-universe music than they have in the past. Just even little moments like that that are super fun.
But yeah, I'll defer to you if this is S tier for you, just like you did with Gaya.
I think the only other little behind the scenes thing we know is that Sugana Senna, which is the name of the song, it means Black Thunder, which also just is rad.
Badass.
Watching that clip, like, I feel like there's very few people in the world who are truly doing what they were put on this earth to do, and that band looks like this is what they were meant for.
Yeah.
They looked absolutely incredible. I have not played the games either, so I don't feel like I can rate them. However, they're not actually a band that is seen in Star Wars, right? It's more of a song that we hear in Star Wars, which then I feel like opens it up to a lot more. Like the Sleemos, where are the Sleemos at?
I am not offended since you were able to hear the music, if you want to rank it lower than an S. Yeah.
I would rank it at a solid A. I'm docking it from S tier just because, yeah, we don't get to experience like a live performance from the band. But otherwise, I love the music. Do they actually play any of those at Galaxy's Edge?
Not that I know of.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
I know it only from, gathering up all the in-universe music for Cantina Hour for Mosh, and this has been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I genuinely just put their songs on a playlist. There's another one from Star Wars Jedi Survivor called Ebb and Flow that I really like. But yeah, this is great. I also just like The Who. I think that they're a cool band. It's funny, I have friends who really like them, and when I heard them playing them at some party, I was like, ooh, wait. And I had to pull up their Star Wars songs, and they were like, this is awesome.
Do you think they would be more humanoid, or would they be alien?
I kind of hope at this point that if they were to show up in the third game, let's say Cal goes to one of their concerts, I really hope they just bring the Who in to do motion capture, and it's just them with like tattoos and some Star Warsy stuff. I think that'd be cool.
Maybe they're all Dathomirian.
Sick, yeah, that would be.
I could get behind that, yeah. So okay, I'm gonna put that solidly in S. I feel like I pushed it there, but I'm okay with that. I'm leaving it.
It's your channel.
Our next song is interesting because we don't know the artist for it, but it was in Ahsoka episode 1. It's the song that Sabine is listening to while she's on her speeder bike. It's another one that I feel like would fit pretty well in Mosh Eisley.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I looked it up. I could not find a name for the artist. The song is called Igyah Kah, and we know it was performed by the Illuminati hotties in real life. But that's all we know.
Yeah.
They're actually label mates of mine. They're on Hopeless Records, yeah.
So S tier by default, just
I mean, this is just like if Star Waver was it? If Star Waver was like the amateur punk, this is like a real punk band. This sounds like something I would actually listen to and actually have listened to. Because once that was streaming, I played it like 10 times. I was like, this is so good, and I want an album. If Gaya has an album, I want an album of this. This is very, very good. I could have sworn the Kiners also were involved in the writing of it, right?
Yeah, they co-wrote, yeah.
Dina Kiner, I think, was friends.
Yeah, with the singer, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I believe that was the story. The singer of the Illuminati hotties said that Dina reached out and it was like, would you like to work on something top secret? And so they did it together.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, this is, to answer early, this is S for me, because this is the one where I'm like, I want to hear a full album of this. I want them to be recurring like artist in the galaxy. I just want more.
We don't know, but I feel like this could be rec punk or gonk rock. I think that could fit in there.
Nick, for all the things you said, I was going to make that exact same comparison to bookend the scale. And if you would think based on everything I said that a song that comes with real drums and distorted guitars that I would feel a little weird about it, but I had the exact same response as you. It was just so sick, so perfectly in universe, despite hearing an actual guitar, and mixed with the visual of
Or drum set.
and mixed with the visual of Sabine on the bike, it was like the Top Gun vibes with this like Beastie Boys, but more punk, but Japanese, but Star Wars kind of. It's just like this perfect mix of all these things I love, and it rips. Yeah, and we did use it actually at Mosh Eisley, this last one, because we had the Top Gun theme. It was the last song in Cantina Hour before the intro video. So yeah, full all caps bold S.
I'll put an S with a star there.
Yeah, I fully agree. This song, I remember when they released it, I was like, who is singing this? And so then I like dug into it, and then I started listening to the actual band. So yeah, it slaps.
I agree. It's a good song. I think my only hesitation is the same with the last one, where you don't actually see a band performing. Like, they're not an actual Star Wars band. It's a song in Star Wars. But I think it sets that scene so well with Sabine that, like, if you didn't know who Sabine was before you watched that episode, you instantly understand like her whole vibe. And so that sets her character up so well for people that didn't watch animated.
It is a very Sabine song. Like, I could see her painting
Exactly, yeah.
to this, and like it's very Sabine for someone to be like, oh, what song is this? And she's like, you don't know?
I would go with an A just because it's not an actual like Star Wars band, but I think I'm against everybody here. I think everyone else is putting it S tier, and I'm good with it.
I was gonna dock it just a little bit for lore reasons, just because we don't know the band's name, and so I want to know more. It left me wanting more, but I'll give it an A, which still leaves it solidly in S territory.
Imagine this as a band in like the 80s that somebody just gets a tape and there's nothing written on the tape, and they just have this song and it just gets passed around because it's so sick. That's what this seems like in universe. However things are passed around the HoloNet,
Is pirated on whatever
Yeah.
the Wars version of LimeWire is.
Fully. Yeah.
The last person I have written down here, I think we can debate whether or not we consider them a musician or just a DJ. It is DJ Rex. He used to be a pilot, eventually washed out of that to become a DJ at Oga's Cantina. Mostly he just plays music from other people, but he does have a remix about Mad About Me. So it was actually the three of you who suggested we include Rex in here. So I guess let's talk about whether or not he belongs on this list.
Well, do you know, I know we were laughing about the title Mad About Me, but do you know what the name of DJ Rex's remix
I
is?
believe it's Mad About Me.
It's even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, that droid never rests. He is working in Oga's Cantina sun up to sundown every single day. So he may not come up with new music, but honestly, like, what musicians fully write and produce their own music too.
This might be a bigger conversation of, are DJs musicians?
Yeah, there's an art form there for sure of literally mixing the music together. So it could definitely be argued that they are an artist themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against it at this point, because also that's just some old man vibes. Like, you don't play guitar?
Well, I mean, we did have a DJ Rex. My husband Steven built DJ Rex for last year's San Diego Mosh.
Mm-hmm.
So he did perform in front of a live audience outside of the cantina too.
I think that is an art form. Rex only, as far as we know, has one remix. They also pointed out last time we were at Oga's Cantina, you'll notice like blast marks behind Rex where people keep shooting at him. So I don't know if he can be considered a great DJ. I do
Yeah.
think Mad About Me is good, but he started with a banger. So how much of that was his own hard work?
Was he shot at because he was playing the wrong music, or because he stopped playing music? He might not even have the time or personal space to make his own music because he's just getting shot at to keep playing music. He can't even leave there. He doesn't have legs. What's he gonna do?
So it's impressive that he made one remix at all.
Nick, you probably spend more time than I do. Like, doesn't Rex get tired and shut down at some point, and then they have to like bang on?
Yeah, like the whole power to the whole cantina So that means he's plugged in.
Yeah, and he draws a lot of power if
Yeah.
their grid can't support. It's not sustainable.
And so many DJs become producers. You know, some of the best producers in the world were just quote just DJs at some point. So there's an art form to, you know, if you look at like turntablism or like DJing in that sense, or just even just like, you know, reading a room and playing music that people want to hear. But DJ is kind of like a stepping stone to creating your own music, whether that's by remixing other music or making it from scratch. So let's not underestimate Rex. That's what I'm saying. Also, his voice, nobody wants to hear him sing with that damn voice. Of course, he's going to be a producer or a DJ.
I'm gonna probably ruffle some feathers here, and I'm gonna start him now at this point in his career. I'm gonna put him at a D, and leave room for improvement. Maybe he'll be a prolific producer in the future, but right now I don't think he's done enough to rank him up with the other bands we've talked about.
I have no argument against it, really, because if I'm making a playlist right now, he would barely make it. You know, like the Mad About You remix would be the last song that I'm like, I guess I could put this on here.
I want to throw him a bone just so he can stop being shot at. Like, I'm going to give the dude a C. Let's get his numbers up and get him out of there.
Let's get him some good press.
I would agree with C. I feel like maybe when Mad About Me came on, that might be everyone's bathroom break song.
I disagree. That's the one that I want to definitely hear.
I think he's a C, as much as it hurts my heart because I have such a love for droids, but he's probably a C. He doesn't make his own music, but he does work a lot, and I think that counts for something.
I already know that I'm going to get angry comments about this, and I know who from, but that's where I'm going to put him. So, but that does land him in a C, in the C spot. Before we wrap up, is there any other band that I didn't talk about or musical artist that you can think of that you want to throw in?
My favorite song, my entire childhood, you know, minus the themes, you know, the main Star Wars themes that we all know and love, was the old Ewok song.
That's a great point.
It's a diegetic, yeah.
Yes, that's a great pull that I did not consider.
Yeah, it's not really like performed by a band per se. Like it's kind of like the whole village is performing it, but they do have the little like helmet drums, which are cool. Who knows if they have skulls in them or not, but
I think he shook it out before he put
that
it
makes it even more metal if there is a skull in there.
The skulls have turned into dining ware, so they're not out there hitting them with sticks. They're eating out of them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think we have to talk about the Ewoks. That's a great idea.
Oh yeah, I have. Oh my god, it's right here on my desk too. I just.
Okay, so Brethupp the Ewok, we can consider him the front man of the Ewok band. Yeah, I mean that I'm like a little embarrassed I didn't even consider that. I think that's such a good song to talk about.
That's an S for me. I've learned to love the song that replaced that over the years, but I miss that song every single time I watch Return of the Jedi.
I'm trying to think of, you know, if everyone there weren't elated to be alive and to have toppled fascism and blown up a second Death Star, I'm like trying to decide if Lando would be as into it as he is in the movie, or if he's just like, would he listen to that normally, or or was it really that good?
I mean, at that point, you dance to anything, but
so I'll give it an A. And also like the ingenuity for Brethupp he's just throwing instruments together on the fly.
On the fly.
That's true. Good under pressure.
I hadn't considered this one because it's not specifically a band, but I would give it an A for sure. The song is about like celebrating freedom and power and glory, and love.
Yeah, A sounds good to me.
It's a Ewok family band. I mean, it's got to be an A, and along with Mad About Me, I mean, from all of our youth, like those are the two songs you would hum to yourself, you know, that have lasted decades at this point, you know, Yub Nub and Mad About Me. It's up there. So I'm comfortable with an A.
We're forgetting about the holiday special and Ackmena's song.
Oh boy.
Good night, but not goodbye.
There's a lot of songs in that one though, so we might be here a while.
But I think, I mean, even in reviews of the holiday special, people were like, B. Arthur's song is kind of good. It's still like, it's part of the holiday special. It's like a bright spot in the holiday special, but even
Yeah.
still, it's weird. Like, I'll start it with a C.
I think that's fair. I have a soft spot for Ackmena just because B. Arthur is my silver-haired twin, and so I cosplayed as her, as Ackmena for holiday for Life Day last year at the parks. So I was like, I need to know this song in case anybody asks me. So I have like a soft spot for it, but I think a C is accurate given where it falls in all of Star Wars and the fact that it is part of this weird holiday special.
I love that you have a Glupshido song. That
Yeah.
But like in the course of her song, she's very loving. Like the cantina gets wild. She was like, I got to get these fools out of here. Like we are done. We're getting shut down. And she like lovingly like sings them out of there with her beautiful voice. And so like it was an effective song. She got done what she needed to get done, just like Gaya. Like she got done what she needed to get done and she did it with style.
I like that it's like she's not really a singer or like a band member. She's the bartender, but I mean this is top-notch entertainment level bartender if she's singing everyone out.
Yeah. Immersive, as Nick said earlier.
I would agree with C.
I'll give it a C.
I'll go one below. I'll go D.
All right, that's falling firmly into C territory. All right, are there any other songs or artists or groups that I forgot?
Oh, dude.
Oh God, what else did I forget?
You could make an argument for the Rix Road funeral procession tune, whatever that is.
That has like drums, like marching band.
It's diegetic. They play it in the, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's bring up Ferrix.
That's an S for me too. I know I'm just throwing out S's. Like
this is see, this is tough because they purposefully made it sound amateur.
Yeah, they had all the performers like play it a little off key at times because you're not supposed to be a professional musician. You're just part of
Was
this.
it amateur or is it these people live such rough lives that their instruments just sound like shit? Because that's all they have is these things that look like they've been run over and the notes just don't come out right.
It's a little of both. And I mean, I'm not gonna ever call the Time Grappler below an S tier anything.
You get booted.
Yeah. That song, and again, like Sarah was just talking about, accomplishing what you need to accomplish through the power of music. That's that. Like, but for meaning alone, I would give that S.
Yeah, we used that for last year, I guess, San Diego. Like we had a little interlude part where Mike thanked everybody, thanked the crowd, and then we rolled the Kino Loy clip that I cut down for the event. And in making that whole thing, I just sat there and like had goosebumps for hours as I was like putting this thing together because it's like one of the most emotional things I've heard in Star Wars since the last time Williams wrote music.
I'll give it an A. I don't know that I want to throw an S tier at it, but yeah, it is pretty special.
As a scene, great scene. I couldn't hum it to you right now. So that's probably I would go like A, but yeah, I remember the emotions wrapped up in the scene and what it meant to the show. So that was great.
I think it's down to Sarah whether it's S or A.
I was gonna go B because like I couldn't hum it to you right now. But we also have like Figrin Dan, I think, up in an A tier, which all of us could easily like in together hum. But I would go B.
We'll put the Rix Road Band, that comes down to an A then. So for our S tier, we have Figrin Dan, Max Rebo, Gaya, the song Sabine listens to. That's our S. In A tier, we have the Agasar and the Ferrix Municipal Band. I don't know what to call them. B, we did Shag Kava and Aurodia Ventafoli and Luleo Primoc. C, we've got Star Waver, DJ Rex, and the holiday special song by Ackmena. So we didn't go below a C. We like the music in Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans.
I feel like we have so many emotions tied to a lot of the music and the bands from Star Wars, so it's hard to give them a low ranking.
Also, I think, we read out a couple of titles of other songs, but we haven't heard them all. So I figure we're hearing all of the best for the most part. If we've got the Max Rebo Band and it's like Lopty Neck is like their number one hit. So of course we know that one. But some of the others, maybe they have some misses in their discography. We just haven't heard them yet. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our tier list. So let us know what you think down in the comments. Before we go, thank you to all three of you for joining us for this. This is our first Star Wars tier list. It's exactly what I wanted, just like a goofy debate about a goofy topic. So thank you all for bringing your expertise.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Let everyone know where they can follow you and remind everyone about Mosh Eisley Atlanta again.
You can follow me at Adam the Skull on Instagram, but more importantly, at Thank the Maker Pod. Nick and I have a podcast called Thank the Maker with our buddy Ryan from Yellow Card and our buddy Mike, Hondo Supply. It's exactly what the title says. We're just celebrating our love for Star Wars, and give it a listen. We're also on YouTube at Thank the Maker Pod.
And then I am Sarah Mossiel. Me and my husband Steven have a podcast within the Thank the Maker network called Princess and Scoundrel. You can find us on YouTube, podcast, and on Instagram at Princess and Scoundrel Show. And then all together, we throw Mosh Eisley, which is the best party in the galaxy. You can get tickets at Mosh Eisley. You can follow us on Instagram, on pretty much anywhere on the internet. But we're the most active on Instagram. So follow us over at Mosh Eisley.
And if you didn't hear at the top of the show, tickets for our Dragon Con party in Atlanta, which is on 8/29, are on sale. It's only about, 3.5 weeks away at the time of this recording, so it's coming up soon. So if you don't have Dragon Con plans on Thursday night, it's separate from Dragon Con, just to avoid any confusion. This is a separate ticketed event, so you don't need a badge for Dragon Con to come to Mosh Eisley. So it's at the Masquerade, and tickets are on sale. And if you want to follow me personally, I'm at Nick Bayside on all social media.
And I'll just reiterate how much fun Mosh Eisley is. Molly and I go whenever we've been lucky enough to be in town for one. So we're thrilled you're coming to our neck of the woods. Again, if you're a Dragon Con fan, this is a perfect way to kick things off. I'm so excited to go. We will be there partying, so come hang out with us that Thursday and then get your party started right for the rest of Dragon Con. But thank you all again for hanging out with us and for watching, and may the Force be with you.